Leamington resident Jean Overton Fuller. Her latest collection of poems has just been published, so Lizzie Daniel went to meet Jean at her home, where she found out that Jean's writing talents are not confined to poetry.
Most of my books, my major books, are prose, but poetry is something that I've always written. I wrote quite a bit in the 60s and in the 70s. Well, I've written something, I think, every year.
The book I'm here to talk with you about today is called The Bombed Years. Now, what's this all about? For someone who's never seen your book before, what's this the story of?
That is going back in time to the war, when I was in London under first the Blitz and then the V1s and the V2s, the lot. It's a kind of saga, really, of day-to-day experiences, trying to help people who had been bombed out. If they weren't bad enough to go to hospital, they'd know where to sleep because their houses had been demolished, so we took them into rest centres. Then I was for a while with the Red Cross, and then because I had languages, I was with the Postal Censorship Department of the Ministry of Information, reading all day. But I also volunteered for the St Pancras Civil Defence. I was trained as a firefighter. I was on a rota for that one night in 8. So it was all rather hectic.
It sounds as if you kept yourself busy anyway. Did you have time to be frightened, being so busy? Were you frightened?
Not really. It's astonishing the extent to which one got used to it. Everybody did. Once it became a daily thing, bombs falling, one didn't really take any notice unless one was coming near. If one heard that sudden whine or something approaching, one put one's helmet on, or if it was near enough, one lay in the gutter, with one's face in the angle between the curb and the road to protect one's nose.
It's an extraordinary thing, being in this country now. And for people who haven't lived through a war, I think we've all been reminded with the VE Day celebrations and hopefully some VJ Day celebrations coming up. Did it bring it all back to life for you with the celebrations on the television?
Yes, well, it did. It brought back memories of the actual VE Day. People pouring out of the offices because we had all been so pent up for so long, with security being ground into our bones. Everybody was throwing their consolidated orders out of the windows. Typewriter ribbons were being thrown out of the windows, whirled to make streamers before being hurled.
Now, although you said there wasn't really time to be frightened, you just had to get on with things, had to get used to things. Yeah. Obviously there were emotions and feelings involved because you put it down on paper and you've written the poems. What are the poems all about?
Well, they start in 1940 when I was living on Primrose Hill in the nearest line of inhabited houses to the guns which blasted all night, a mighty concert of the heavens, and into a landmine which took a whole road down, in coping with people who'd been bombed out. And it moves on through the different phases, the different kinds of things coming from the sky, to end in the last poem with butterflies and the willow herb in the bombed site when it's all over.
I think it must have been a relief to see butterflies coming down rather than the bombs, wasn't it?
Yes. The purple willow herb covering everything, and with the nodding heads came butterflies. That's the last line.
Of all the poems that you've written, obviously a very important phase in anyone's life who lived through World War II, must be difficult to pick out one as a favourite. Can you do that? Have you got a favourite that you can tell me?
Well, perhaps the one at the fair in the city. Mother at Denmark Hill lived in Bomb Alley, The 68 bus was the link between us. On Sundays we lunched alternately at her place and mine. At Christmas I went to her, and just after she came and cooked a lunch for me on the day that has entered history as the night the city burned. She rose before the light went, saying, "I'd like to be in the bus before the alert goes." I walked with her to its terminus at Chalk Farm. The alert went a little early. Even as I walked back, I knew another noisy night was beginning. From my top floor window, I saw the sky turn red to the southeast and wondered if Mother's bus would get through. I gave it time to do so, then rang Ruskin but could not get a line. That patch of red grew larger, brighter, broader than I had seen before. After it was dark, perhaps about 8 o'clock, all the bells of the house rang together. It was a warden come to warn us to be ready to leave. Not yet, but if the fire should come this way, we should put together such things as we might wish to take if the order came to evacuate. Don't go to bed, or if you do, sleep dressed. He wanted us, if he came back, to walk straight down and board the lorry that would be below to take us. Where, I asked, concerned. He did not know. Away from the fire. The hours passed. The warden did not return, and I fancied that the red in the sky began to lessen. I went to bed, dressed, and slept. At breakfast time I got a line to Ruskin. Mother assured me that she was all right. She said, "Let's meet for coffee at the ABC on Southampton Row, halfway between." I took the 68 bus. In Mornington Crescent and in Eversholt Street, the houses' fronts were gone, so that one saw the wallpapers of their rooms. Lavatory pedestals drooped from their pipes along every story in every house, forming a kind of frieze as we went along. In Russell Square it was better. Despite some glass on the pavement, the ABC was open. Mother, already at a table, did not look worn or frayed. Her eyes were shining. "I have never seen you look so beautiful. Your eyes are like stars," I said. Abashed, she said, "I know, I can't help it. I feel so well. I've never felt so well in all my life. It's the adrenaline from the excitement. Do you realise, dear, we are living through history. History! I crossed the Waterloo Bridge in the 68 bus and saw the city burning. I saw the flames. The flames were all reflected in the water. St. Paul's was in silhouette. The terrible thing is, it was so beautiful. I felt it dreadful to be an artist. Wren's dome never had such a setting."
It's Jean Overton Fuller chatting to Lizzie Daniel and reading her own poem there, The Fire of the City. Now, if you'd like to get hold of a copy of Jean's book, you'll be pleased to hear it's available from booksellers around the county, but if you fail in that bid, then give a ring to Greylag Press on 01933, that's Wellingborough, of course, Greylag Press, 01933 58373, 58373.
Across the county, BBC Northampton.